Hello and welcome to another edition of the eCommerce Odyssey podcast. I'm here with Valentin from Omniconvert. Valentin, could you tell us a bit about what you do?
Hey there, I'm helping e-commerce companies to grow their business by caring about their customers, and we provide them with the data to know for which customers they should be caring more.
Okay, so when they get this, is it tell us about, is it a solution? Is it a consultancy service? Is it software? How do you implement this?
It's actually all of them. So mainly we have started as a software as a service company back in 2014. 2016, we were doing A/B testing, web personalization, and surveys. Google Optimize came to the picture, and we needed to reinvent ourselves. And that was the moment when we started to work with the companies to actually help them with consulting services. And we've built a consulting arm, which is pretty strong right now. And then we built another software, which is helping e-commerce companies to segment their customers and then to treat the customers differently according to how valuable they are for their businesses across all channels, across email, in-store, ads, or other channels like the website. So pretty much that's how it goes. And in the last year, we've also launched this project, which is called CVO Academy, and we are training e-commerce leaders, e-commerce owners, or digital experts and agencies towards how to improve customer lifetime value. So we've nailed a methodology called the CVO methodology, which is helping them to do exactly that. So we teamed up with a lot of authors and practitioners and experts in e-commerce that know the game of customer lifetime value, customer experience, and they help them to do exactly that.
Okay, so tell us about how a customer would come to you. What's your kind of typical customer?
The typical customer is an e-commerce company which is stuck in terms of what they should be doing with their ads. That's one type of customer, because we are seeing the ROAS going down, and they are looking for solutions.
Google, on which platforms? On
Facebook, on Google, no matter on whatever type of platform. Fact is that the customer acquisition cost is way too high than it was 1 year ago. So according to our data, it's almost double on Facebook ads than it was 1 year ago, due to the iOS changes and cookie deprecation and so on. So the typical customer is either looking for advanced things because the ad campaigns are not working like they used to, either looking to fix their business model, because due to the same fact, they are looking for the post-purchase. They realize that they should be leveraging their existing customers way better than before. Because if before the customer lifetime value and the CPAs were so low compared to the what they've got from the first transaction compared to the AOV, now the CLV is not that high, and the CPAs are going through the roof. So mainly that's our typical customer, and we help them to first understand their customers, segment them, then finding who's their best customer, what they buy, when they buy. All these patterns, all these behavior patterns are being shown with our analytics tool, and then we help them to push this kind of data to various channels and to improve the customer lifetime value.
Okay, so would you be integrated with tools like, for example, MailChimp and Klaviyo? Would the data automatically flow into these systems?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it works. We're integrated with Klaviyo, and we get data from Shopify. So imagine, Trevor, that you're getting all this intelligence about the customer database, and we have these models to make use of the data, and then we push this type of data differently to things like Klaviyo, website, Facebook ads, and so on. So in this manner, you'll be way more relevant, because at the end of the day, an e-commerce has thousands of relationships with a lot of customers, but not all of them are in the same situation, right? We have customers that used to be loyal and now they stop buying from us. And on the contrary, we have very valuable customers that have just started to buy from our store. And the idea is, what if we could talk to them according to how they relate to our company? And that's exactly what we do.
So how does your system differ from like a CRM or something like that? I mean, is it overlaps, or would you integrate with something like other other systems like that?
Yeah, we have a section which is working exactly like a CRM, but we've added a lot of intelligence on top of that. So mainly we get all the customer data, we get all their transactions and so on, but on top of that, we group them together. So you can go into Omniconvert, into our tool, and you can see all the customers, you can see all the transactions. And then the difference is that we also group them and we label them differently so that you can address them differently via email, ads, and so on. Moreover, we push this data to their customer help desk solutions because there are, I think there is a, let's say, problem in the market of a lot of e-commerce companies just acquiring customers that never come back. So that's the issue that we're solving. We help them to understand which type of customers they should be acquiring in the first place and how to treat them down the line in a personalized way without bombarding them with the ads, 15%, buy right now, whatever, so that they can have a, let's say, healthy relationship with them.
So what kind of benchmark, I mean, if I was to come to you and say, look, you know, as a customer, what kind of benchmark performance would you expect? Do you think is a good performance that, you know, an e-commerce site should aim for in this area? I know it's very broad, but give me some examples.
Yeah, we have seen the best companies that we work with that they are making between 30 to 60% uplift in their customer retention rate after 1 year of efforts towards this direction. But it's not only about the tool. So this is not an automatic tool that you plug it in and suddenly customers will come back. It requires customer research. It requires product assortment. It requires a different customer experience. So what we have seen are these type of figures, and but the potential is fantastic because if you think it well, we have a benchmark. Like we aggregate data from 2,500 companies, e-commerce companies, which are pushing data to us. So the average customer retention rate is 23%. So that means.
So what is that? Over what period of time is that?
Throughout the entire lifetime of a store. So maybe 23 out of 100 customers are coming back to place another order on average. Of course, if you look at various different industries, you can see different figures, because if you're selling mattresses online, the purchase cycle is like after 5 years. But if you're selling something like food, nutrition, cosmetics, fashion, then the purchase cycle is shorter and the purchase frequency is higher. So mainly these are the benchmarks. We have put it over there, and I think it's crucial for a company to know.
Is this something you've published or something?
Yeah, it's a public
Great, I should put
benchmark, and you can see this by country, by industry. You can see, for instance, if you are in the nutrition business, how many of your top customers you should be having out of the total one. So, for instance, you should have around 10% of your customers being active and placing most of your orders and generating more than 30% of your revenue to be on the safe side if you're in this industry. So you need to use this kind of data, because otherwise you'll shoot in the dark. And there is that saying from Einstein, Trevor, that if you have a problem, you can't solve it at the same level of thinking as it was produced, that problem. So I think now that a lot of e-commerce companies are struggling, I think it's time to focus more on the customers and to understand more about why they are actually buying the products that you're selling.
Because I read it's much cheaper to sell to your existing company than to acquire a new customer. I can't remember. It's 5 times cheaper. Is the figure?
It's even more than that right now, because the Pareto's law is actually obsolete. So it's like more like 5 to 95. So mainly it's up to 18 times more cheap to address a customer that's already having a relationship with you. And this is pretty easy to understand, because now the competition is higher than it ever was. And the consumers have more control than they ever had. I mean, if we want to change the grocery that we're using, we are just swiping.
Yes.
Right? Yes. It's so easy to switch from a company to another. And that means the arena right now is to delight your customers, to do more than selling the same products that everyone is selling. For instance, in my career, I'm a former e-commerce entrepreneur, and we've sent 3,000 anniversary cakes to our top customers, and that was a huge impact in our database, because we were monitoring why the customers, how they reached us, how they've got to buy from us. And in the next months, we got this from 16% of the revenue to 60% of the revenue, because those were the micro influencers that told everyone, hey, there's this crazy company, they sent me an anniversary cake, buy from them. We were selling online car insurance.
Right, so you're going to be creative is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think that's what the current environment, which is so where the competition is so fierce, that's what the context is inviting us to get creative. Otherwise, we'll be boring and will become obsolete in no time.
So what do you think? I think, services like Shopify, for example, are very much templatizing the e-commerce experience. I mean, do you think that this is going to make it's going to make e-commerce more of a commodity? And will people find, will people still need your conversion rate optimization services if everyone's got the same kind of website?
Yeah, the templates will be, as the name says, templates. I mean, you need to have your own flavor, and you need to persuade your customers, because any e-commerce is selling something that needs to be appealing enough. So mainly you need to be persuasive enough, and you need to understand your own customers. So templates are looking great, and I think Shopify is doing the right thing, but it's all about having a voice. So a brand which is not having a voice and it's using the templated buy from us now and whatever is not going to make it in the future, because we are too sophisticated and too powerful as consumers.
Okay, so now that I know you've got to do a lot of work with Facebook ads. Post iOS 15, what are your recommendations for growth tactics?
Yeah, the first recommendation is to understand how ads are working. So there's the holy trinity, as I stated. We have the creative, we have the offer, and we have the target, right? The who are we targeting? So now that the targeting is being affected, we need to, because beforehand, Facebook was doing the magic and he was bringing the right customers to see our ads. But now the algorithm is not there anymore to support us so well. So that means we need to understand our target better. So the first thing is to understand why they are buying. So purchase, pre-purchase, and post-purchase surveys are fantastic. If you want to go in depth, which I recommend, you should be doing jobs to be done interviews, because anyone which is buying a product is buying it because of a struggle. So you need to understand what is the struggle and to get creative on the struggle. Because if you don't know what's the struggle, you will shoot in the dark. And we had some fantastic outcomes. For instance, with a company which was doing jobs to be done interviews, they found out that they were selling weighted blankets. It's called hush blankets. And they were selling weighted blankets, and they thought that customers are buying it because of the cuddling effect, right? To feel warm and whatever. But it wasn't a nice to have. So after the jobs to be done interviews that we ran for them, we realized together that the main job to be done is that the weighted blanket was a replacement for sleeping pills, because they were sleeping so well and they were looking for a solution not to get knocked out through the night. Because once you understand that, you position your product differently. It's not about the cuddling effect of getting a weighted blanket. It's about getting a proper sleep and being able to take care about the ones that you're loving, right? I mean, if you have a kid to take care about and you have insomnia problems, then a weighted blanket is way more better than the sleeping pills. So that's what I'm stating, that these ads will be nailed if you understand more about your target and their struggling moment, because you can't affect the offer too much. Because if you destroy your margin too much, you're not going to be profitable, you'll not be able to attract talent, you'll not be able to do ads anymore, and so on. So this is a downward spiral. So the creative, in accordance to the target's struggles, that's the way to go. And another way to go is to use this type of knowledge on the first touch, right? So you do pre-purchase survey. It's called the zero-party data, right? We have zero-party data that the customers are willingly sharing with us. So they intentionally give us data, like if we are selling toys, do you have a kid, or do you have a boy or a girl? How old is she or he? And then based on that, you can transform the journey so that you are way more relevant than just leaving the customer to sort out your menus and whatever. And based on this type of data that you collect, you can do remarketing ads, which are way more relevant. And then you can do onboarding emails that takes care about that customer. I mean, how was the toy for your 9-year-old? Because in this manner, you'll be more relevant and you'll show that you care. So that's the way, from my perspective, to cope with the Facebook.
To understand your customers even better.
Yeah, and improve your acquisition based on do your creatives according to the struggles that they have, and collect this type of data on the website so that you can address them even better. Another way to cope with Facebook's transformation in iOS 15 is to use your existing customers as lookalike audiences, right? So you can use your best customers, not only the ones that bought historically, but the ones which are active right now, and they bought, 3+ times from your store. They are the highest spenders, and they just bought in the last 3 weeks. So you can feed the algorithm with, let's say, 2,000 different customers like these ones, so that Facebook is way more better. So you can actually help the algorithm of Facebook with this approach. And this is something that our technology does as well. Okay,
great. So do you think that when you talk about customer value optimization, right? Is that just a thing that's a phrase that your company uses, or is it an industry-wide thing?
Yeah, we actually made a lot of companies to use it after we articulated back in 2019. So this CVO methodology is now, let's say, applied by many other companies. So we are working closely with 10 different agencies at this moment that we are training, and we are in this business of helping agencies diversify their activities and make use of the data. Because if you're sending emails, if you are doing PPC campaigns, if you are doing creative stuff, all of those should take into account who's the ideal customer, what kind of segments you can use in your approach. And the CVO methodology has some steps. I mean, it starts with customer research, customer segmentation, customer experience, and we have very good successes with this. We have many companies using it.
So, do you think people are going to stop talking about CRO and talk about CVO? Do you think one's going to replace the other?
These are going to be complementary. So, while CRO is taking care only on the conversion part, the CVO takes care about the acquisition, the conversion, and the retention. So mainly, you can't do CVO unless you optimize the conversion rate, right? But we took the data-driven approach, the analytics approach, the audit approach from the CRO, and we applied it to all the other channels, and looking at getting out of the website-only approach. So if you think it well, CRO is focusing on a single metric, which is conversion rate, and many times it's not only about the conversion rate. So because you can increase the conversion rate, decrease the AOV, decrease the profit, and then the company is going to become way more less profitable than it was with the lower conversion rate. So I think the metric itself and the naming itself should be changed. And our approach is that most of the agencies that we're working with are coming from the CRO context, because they have all this process to do the analytics, to use the persuasion principles. Of course, you can do black optimization or white optimization. You can trick customers to buy and then have the buyer's remorse, or you can persuade them to actually get what they need.
Mm-hmm. So what are your tips for increasing customer lifetime value?
Yeah, one of the important things over here, if you want to increase the customer lifetime value, is to understand what's affecting the customer lifetime value. Besides, let's pretend that you know what customer lifetime value is and that you are measuring it.
Why don't you explain to us what customer lifetime value is?
Yeah, the customer lifetime value can be measured based on the revenue, based on the gross margin, and based on the net margin. The gross margin is my way to go because it's more relevant than just looking at the historical revenue. Because if you have a margin of 20%, it's a whole different game than having a margin of 70%. So I'm looking for the gross margin because with the net margin, there are other costs that you can put in on top of the expenses. So mainly the customer lifetime value is the predicted margin, gross margin that your company is going to get from a customer throughout the entire lifespan of that customer. And in order to measure it, you need purchase frequency, you need customer retention, you need AOV, and you need the lifespan, which is generated by the customer retention. So that's how it's being measured. The problem with CLV is that it wasn't so far a way to monitor it properly. And another problem with it is that many companies are just using it once, right? They calculate the CLV once a year. But the idea with the CLV is to optimize it. And our proposal is, instead of optimizing for conversions or traffic or revenue, optimize the customer lifetime value, because an e-commerce is made or broken by the balance between customer lifetime value, how much you are getting from a customer, and customer acquisition cost, how much you are spending to acquire that customer. And these ratios should be more than 3-to-1, right? So you should be getting $3 in gross margin for every dollar you spend to acquire that customer.
Okay.
And mainly the first thing that I suggest to do this is, after you understand what it is, after you monitor it, is to change the mindset of the company, because many companies are revenue driven or product centric. They are not customer centric, and you need to become customer centric to improve customer lifetime value. You need not to monitor how many orders you've got or how much revenue, but how many customers you've got, how many customers have bought again, right? So these are the things that you should be optimizing for, and these are affected by other departments than the marketing. So the customer lifetime value, as I've stated before, it's a company-wide measure of success. It's being affected by what the company says, which is marketing, what the company sells, which is the product assortment, and what the company does, which is the customer experience. So these are the 3 pillars of customer value optimization. And I usually start with the customer experience because it's the most neglected aspect. Few are the companies that understand if their customers are happy about what they've purchased. So they don't monitor NPS. They don't know if they've made their job, but they expect their customers to come back without even knowing that.
So what about, if you've got a website and someone's not, got a very low customer lifetime value or doesn't know it, what are the things that they should do first? Is it things like email, or what's your, just imagine someone's got a website and they've, just done very well on natural search or something like that. But they want to actually start understanding this. What are the steps they should take? Just really basically from beginners.
So basically the first step that they should be taking is to do a survey, to do segmentation, to find their best customer, the ideal customer profile, and then based on the ICP to understand how to email them, because they will find out from their best customers what they bought and why they've bought, and based on that they can improve what's broken. So it's more about debugging, fixing first, and then improving, then optimizing, then putting things on top of it.
Okay, Valentin, this has been very interesting. I noticed you've got some learned books behind you there. You've got Nudge and you've got 0 to 1. Tell me what has inspired you recently? What have you been?
I think this is the book. It's called The Black Box Thinking by Matthew Seed. It's a very great book, and it's helping the entrepreneurs. It's also helping other people than professionals and experts as well.
Okay, is that your tip? Is that your latest tip?
Yeah. I think it's one of the best books that you could read at this particular moment.
Okay. Interesting. Valentin, it's been lovely speaking to you. I'll put a link to that, your website, and also the resources you have in the notes. And good luck for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you as well. Thank you as well, Trevor. And thanks everyone for watching. If you need me, find me on LinkedIn.